In this video, I'll be showing you a very simple way of making these Ankara jackets and pleated skirts. But before then, I'd like to share a few things with you. Please listen and watch till end just before the tutorial starts. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Please kindly subscribe and share your comments. Thank you.
Hi everyone, so welcome to the Tailors All. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. Thank you for taking out time to watch these videos, for liking and engaging with the videos. I sometimes some months ago, I put out a video that I was going to share tutorials for beginners who are just trying out tailoring. I'm sorry I've not fulfilled this promise. I've not been consistent due to the workload that has not allowed me to fulfill this promise. Also motherhood and many other things that are personal duty calls. However, I decided not to wait for the perfect time. I decided to come share a few things with you. Instead of waiting for the right time, that I will start these tutorials that I already started with. I think the second video. So the second video. I decided to share my customers' order with you. Anytime I get an order that I consider easy to master, I like to share it. I like to share it with you. You can learn one of two things in this customer's order. And I'll share the cutting and some of the sewing processes so you can learn. Okay, so in this video I'll be showing you an order that I got excuse me, that I consider easy to master. There are some of this kind of style. There are some of the things that I learned really fast when I just started the tailoring, when I started my tailoring journey. So I'd like you to come with me in the next slide and see how this piece were made. Thank you. So you're welcome back, everyone. So we're starting with the skirt. The first thing you need to do is to get all the measurements ready, all the measurements of whoever you are making the style for. Okay, so I use freehand sketching a lot to cut this style, to have this particular style. If you have 4 yards of Ankara, it should be fine for the style. But in this part, because I have 6 yards of it, we use what we need and then the remaining. So we are starting with the skirt. So I'll just go ahead and cut out 3 yards. Of course, we're not going to use the whole length of that particular fabric. We're not going to use the whole length. It's a very simple skirt. You just need a straight. Her length is 25. This is 25. 25. So add your hem allowance. So now we have, this is our skirt. You can see it's just a simple pleated skirt. So I folded it into 4. Then I notch the center and the zip allowance. This is it. The center and the zip allowance. Then I go ahead and also notch the side. This is the side. The side. I notch the side. So that's for the skirt. So we need the lining and the band for the skirt. So the length of this particular jacket is 25. To make this particular jacket, you get the half length. The half length is usually the shoulder measurement to the abdomen, but because of, if you want to get the right shape, most of the time the abdomen is really down, so for most women. So instead of doing that, we just take it like 2 inches higher. So now for this particular jacket, we're going to use 18 as the half length. The first thing you need to do is to go ahead and mark the half length, which is 18. Add half inch that you are taking out up. Okay, add the half inch. Then the armhole length is 9 inches. That's 9 inches. The dart point or bust point, as some people call it, is 11 plus half inch. Okay, then shoulder to the under bust is 15. Then you add half inch. Then we have the length I'm going to rule out the measurements so that you can see it well. Okay, Jesus. So that's for that. Okay, now right at the half length, take out 1 inch. Take out 1 inch. Take out 1 inch, then you slant it. Slant up here. You create something like an arc. Create something like an arc using that 1 inch that you took out at the half length down to create that curve effect. So connect it up. I hope you can see. The reason for this is that if you notice some jackets, if you notice any, whether a male or female jacket, there's this balance. There's this, everyone has a deep, something like a hole on at our backs. So for the jacket to sit well on the back, it has to have this curving effect. So it sits well at the back. So now, on that line that you have traced, you now trace another 1 inch. Trace another 1 inch to bring out that another 1 inch is your seam allowance. Is the sewing allowance that you take in. Some people use half inch. I use 1 inch. It's the same thing. It doesn't. I like to add enough allowance to whatever I'm sewing. So on that 1 inch that you just brought out, place your table and measure the back or shoulder to shoulder, as the case may be. The back of this particular person is 15, and then I add half inch. This is 15. This is 7.5. Then add the half inch of sewing allowance. Okay. Then the neck circumference, because it's a jacket, it's usually very narrow, so it doesn't become really wide after you have sewn it. So add just 2 inches. 2 inches. I want you to see it. 2 inches. From that 2 inches at the end of the shoulder, take out 1 inch and connect it. Just as simple as that. Connect it. Then we have the shoulder. This is the neck. Remember, this is the back. I take out half inch down. Okay. So now cut out the arm hole. I will shape the arm hole. We are going there. Now we have the right on the bust point. That's where you should measure your bust. Right on the bust point. Her bust is 40. If you divide 40 into 4, you have 10. So I have 10 here. I like to add a little inch. So to have this free, her bust is 40, quite alright. I decide to make it 41. So it doesn't become so tight. It's a jacket. It doesn't have to be really tight on her. Then I add the allowance. Go to the waist. 30. Under bust is 32. I'll make it 33. 33. That is 1 inch. You take out allowance. That's allowance. Then the half length. Then okay, so then the hip, our hip is 42. Do the same thing. Then we have the measurements. It's just a simple way of cutting this jacket, and you connect the armhole to it. That's about that. Then you cut. Can you see it? Can you see what we have? This is it. Then we go ahead and cut the front. So place the back on the front. The only thing you need to change here is the neck and then the lapel. You need to add, you shift it back a little. You shift it back a little. This particular jacket has a wide lapel. So at the neck area, you also add the width of the neck. Mark it out. You mark out use the back to mark out the width of the neck. Then come there. The depth of the neck, make it 3 inches. Then draw a straight line. Okay, something like this. right here at the exact place where we are going to sew this place. Okay, this is the actual width without sewing allowance. Now add 3 inches for the wide lapel. Okay, 3 inches. Okay, then where the lapel ends, there's this sharp edge V. The lapel is like a triangle, a long triangle. So where it ends, where the button is going to sit, is right at the half length. So this is here. This is the half length. Now connect this place. Connect it. Connect it. Now it's also, you can make do with the with the allowance of the back as the allowance, the overlapping allowance that the button will have, the other place that overlaps. So that's you can make do with this 1 inch. It's fine. So connect it from here. Okay, so we have it. Then take it down. That's just it. Then here, come slant it. I trust you can see it. Okay. Okay. Can you see this? Okay, then you cut. It's as easy as that. The only thing you need to change for the front part is the lapel and the neck. That's all. Then you cut. I'm using just the normal darts, not princess darts. So I don't need to add. I'm not using a princess dart. For this front, we're going to cut the facing. You know that the lapel folds from inside to outside. You fold it from the inside, you place it outside. So we are going to cut the exact fabric, but it won't be the entire front. We are going to cut like half of it as the facing, and then the lining continues from wherever it stops. So now we go ahead and cut the interfacing. So we have this is the facing. Have the facing. Go ahead and cut the sleeve for this particular. It's just a simple straight sleeve. Okay, but the length of our sleeve is 25. This is 25. This is 25. 25. Add the hem allowance on both sides for the up and down. I'm going to fold in 2 inches here, and then that's 2.5 inches. That's for the hem allowance. The seam allowance, how bicep is 12. Okay, this is 12. Add 1 inch. Our wrist is 8.5. Okay, 8.5. Sorry, 8.5. I added 1 inch as well. So I connect. That's easy as that. I'm going to add our cutting string and cut out all the linings. Then we can start sewing. Okay, so now I've added the first to all the front, the back, also the sleeve. I need to add a bit to the edge so it stands well. So before I do the next ironing, I like to explain a few things. I've joined the jacket. First, I added all the darts. The way I sew not even only jackets, all my outfits, except it is required I sew it out. I like to turn it in. So what I did here, this is the front, the body itself. This is the body itself. I added all the darts. Then also the lining, the darts of the lining, I added it. As you can see, I added the darts of the lining. Okay, so then I proceeded to join the shoulder. You can see I've already ironed the shoulder. This is the shoulder. Can you see it? This is the shoulder. Joined the two shoulder. Then join the back line. This spinal cord line. Let me call it that name. I joined it. Then proceeded to, to get the measurement, to all the final measurement, to trace out the waist, the sides of the jacket. it's advisable you use the back and place it, because the front, there's no way you connect the open place together. It's a jacket. Okay, so I measured for divided the measurement, the bust, the waist, and the hip measurement into two, and I got my measurement. The remaining I splitted into two. And, of course, I expect that you know that. And I brought out, traced out the measurements, as you can see, and then also for the lining, I traced out the measurements of the lining. Okay, traced out the measurements of the lining. So now it's very important that you notch all these curved places so that the curves can relax. Notch, as you can see, I notched this, notched the sides, which I'm about to iron now. Notched the sides. Okay, can you see it? Notched all the sides. Then at the lapel area, can you see the lapel? This is the facing with the lining. Okay, this is the facing with the lining. This is the facing with the lining. At the lapel area, there's a part. This part is the part where that will relax outside. I'll show you when I turn it. I'll show you when I turn it. So you notice that it was like a 4-corner neck kind of. So at the angle here is where the sewing stopped, and I notched it. This from here now. This is where the collar will enter into. Okay, so that's about that, and I ironed and placed it out. So that's for the jacket. When I iron and turn, I'm going to show you how that came about. Also for the sleeve, we are going to turn that as well. This is the sleeve. This is the lining that I had joined to it. So lining to lining, joined fabric to fabric. I'm going to turn it now. This is it. I'm going to turn it. This is where I'm going to, for this is the edge. Okay, so this is the sleeve. We have the sleeve now. Okay, so I'll join it together. Also, I forgot to mention that before you turn these angles, it's advisable you cut it. The stitches. The allowance that you let it be very, very tiny, so it doesn't have it doesn't look bulky when you turn it. I'm still going to trim this. Same for all the edges that needs to come out. Okay. So now, as you can see, the jacket is almost ready. This is the lapel I was talking about. We're still coming to this. Okay. So now the next thing we are going to do is to cut the collar. And see, we need to cut the collar. This is the inner. Can you see? See the inside of the jacket, how neat it is. Okay, see. This remaining open place here, the neck, measure it. Let's measure it. Okay, we have 10.5. So the next thing we're going to do, I got 10.5. Okay, so divide 10.5 into 2. At the end of this measurement, add ½ inch for the sewing allowance. So it's not, the collar is not, of course it won't be, this place is the 4 inches. That's the middle of the neck. Okay, at the center of the middle of the neck is the 4. But the place that extends to the lapel, you reduce it. It's not according to the style, actually. This is the collar. This is the band of the skirt. I'll come back and iron it. And this is the collar. Like I told you, this edge, we cut it and iron. This is our collar. Go ahead and iron, fix the collar, the sleeve, and